Hey there. Today I want to talk about pitching, and not like the Otani kind of pitching. Is that how you say his name? I really don't know anything about baseball. Or not the Babe Ruth kind of pitching. Yeah, he was a pitcher first. Come on. So I want to talk about pitching your book and what to do, and more importantly, what not to do when you're pitching your book. So stick around and let's get your book sold. Hey there. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. I'm John Hartness. I am the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books. We're an independent press based out of North Carolina, and I'm also a freelance editor and the author of over 40 novel-length works, including The Black Knight Chronicles, Bubba the Monster Hunter, Quincy Harker Demon Hunter, and a pile of other stuff. And today, I want to talk to you about pitching. Some of you may have seen a previous video where I talked about the fact that Teresa, my associate publisher, and I just came back from StokerCon a few weeks ago, where we took pitches. And I also frequently take pitches at the table at conventions. Yes, that does mean if I am selling books and it's slow and I'm not actively selling a book, then you can talk to me about your book at the table if I'm at a convention. But if I tell you I'm not taking pitches at this time, do not continue to pitch me. I will remember you and I will not buy your book if you piss me off, because that's annoying and I know that we'll have to work together for several years. So let's not start that relationship with me annoyed. Also, I'm a grumpy old man, so my default is annoyed. Did I scare you out of pitching to me at conventions yet? If so, good. Now, when you are doing a professional pitch, there are some things that you want to do and some things that you don't want to do. You do want to make a positive first impression. And the way you do that is look people in the eye, or at least as close to the eye as possible. If you're uncomfortable with eye contact, I hope that someone's taught you to look at somebody's ear. Because most of us can't tell the difference between when you're talking to my ear or you're talking to my face. So if you are uncomfortable with direct eye contact, make direct eye-ear contact. That sounded way better in my head than it did. Anyway, so making a positive first impression, sit down. 30 seconds of chit-chat. Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Having fun at the event? Yeah, it's great. Okay, cool. What have you got for me? Now, I would prefer, if I'm taking a pitch live, that you not read me your query letter off of the page. I can get what I want out of that, and I'm not saying I want you to have it memorized. I personally want you to be relaxed and tell me what your book is about. I don't really want a formal query letter read to me in a pitch session. Also, a query letter has a different format than a live pitch. I've said this before on the channel, but when you're pitching and when I'm listening to a pitch, I'm evaluating you as much as I'm evaluating your work. Really more. Because I can't read your book in the 5, 10, 15 minutes we've got. I can decide if it sounds interesting and if you seem like somebody I want to put up with for multiple years. Those are the two things I'm looking for. Does this person seem like someone I can deal with? And does the book sound interesting? And do they seem professional enough to probably string sentences together in a coherent and entertaining fashion? Because a publisher-author relationship will last for multiple years. I have authors that are working with Falstaff that have worked with us for a decade now. Not all of them, but some. That's a long time. Some of you have had marriages that didn't last that long. So you want to vet the people you're working with, and that goes both ways. So if you're reading something off a page, I'm not getting a sense of who you are. I do still want most of the information you're going to be giving me in a query letter. I still want to know the genre that you think the book is. I want to know the length. I want to know that it's complete. I don't want to see you sitting across a table from me if it's not complete. Caveat to this, there are many events and conferences that allow people to do practice pitches. If this is one of those, then go for it. I know what I'm getting into. But do not come to my table with an idea that isn't completed and try to sell me on the idea. I will tell you, or Teresa will tell you, finish it and then come back and talk to me. Now, why do we do this? Because we're jerks? Well, I kind of am. Because we're old and jaded? We 100% all are. But none of those are it. It's because 8 out of 10 people who come up and talk to me at a convention and say, I'm working on a book. 8 out of 10 of them never finish the book. The only people that I buy books on spec from, and that's what it means to buy a book that's unwritten or unfinished, is you're buying it on spec. I only do that from people who have a history of actually producing books. Multiple of my friends who have published multiple books with me can say, hey, I've got this idea for a thing. Are you interested? Yeah, sure. Write it and send it to me. Sometimes I'll say, yeah, that sounds good. How many do you want to write? How long do you think they're going to be? And sometimes I just send them a contract. But they've proven themselves. If you're pitching to me at a conference, it's because you haven't. So, because you haven't, let's look at some things that I really don't want in your pitch. Number one is world building. I do not give a single shit about your world building. I barely am going to give a shit about your world building in your book unless it's overwritten, overdone, and obscuring the plot and characterization. Do not, other than a sentence to say, in an alternate South Africa, blah, 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 blah. That's all I need for your world building. It's a gas lamp fantasy featuring sky corsairs. That's all I need for your world building. Do not go into detail about your political system. Do not go into detail about the apocalypse that has happened. Do not talk about the financial system or the class structure, the castes of your world. I don't care. We have 10 to 15 minutes together for you to tell me what I care about in your book. One of my least favorite things that's ever happened to me at a convention was I really upset an unpublished writer. This person was desperate to pitch specifically to me and had decided that we were the absolute perfect home for their book. And they bought a plane ticket to come to a convention that we were at. And having been told ahead of time that we weren't taking pitches at this show and weren't taking pitches for several months after this show because we needed to clear out a bunch of our pipeline first, still proceeded to come to the table and pitch me their book and talked for a solid 5 minutes about the political structure and the financial structure and the money and all these things about the world, and Finally, I had to say, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you. Tell me what I care about in the book. And this poor writer completely vapor-locked because they had prepared this in-depth explanation of every aspect of the world, of the majority of the plot, and they didn't tell me anything about the characters. And characters are what hook readers and sell books. Yes, we want interesting plots. Yes, we want complex worlds. Yes, we want interesting magic systems. No, we don't buy books because of those things. We buy books not to find out what happened. We buy books to find out what happened to the character we love. And this broke this poor writer, and they left, and I am fairly certain that they were very, very upset, and I hate that. I really do. While I talk about being publishing's grumpy uncle, and oh goodness, some of y'all on social media make me into publishing's grumpy uncle, I don't ever want to hurt anyone's dreams. I don't want to make someone regret choosing to pitch to us. I also don't want to listen to a 10-minute discussion on why your version of the penny is more relevant than the version of the penny in our world. That's not what I'm going to buy a book over. I don't know anybody who buys a book on the world building, be it a publisher or a consumer. People buy books for characters. So if you're giving me this great big long description of your world, watch my eyes. Watch them glaze over and then shift gears. For God's sake, shift gears. I don't care about the politics of your world, and I really don't care that much about the plot. Things happen. I hope they're really interesting things. If there's one really awesome, inciting incident, 93% of the world's population is destroyed by plague, and this is the story of the survivors. Okay, now I want to read The Stand. But if you tell me that there's this one guy who goes to Las Vegas and steals a nuke and gets radiation poisoning, and then there's this one kind of creepy kid who's hot for one of the girls at his small town, except she's pregnant, and then they meet up with this guy and he gets all jealous because she falls in love with this guy. I don't care. Also, I just butchered several of the plot threads of The Stand. So, spoilers for a book that's been out long enough to have a fantastic anthology based on short stories set in the world. Anywho, giving me this great big long plot diverts me from the interesting stuff. This dude is chasing his ex-girlfriend's prized show cat out in the middle of the night when all of a sudden alien invaders come and destroy all the buildings on the world, and he chases the cat down a hole in the ground, and all of a sudden the cat can talk and he finds himself on a whacked out intergalactic reality TV show. That's a succinct chunk of plot. And also, you told me there's a talking cat, so I'm in. So give me themes and give me characters. If it's this character has to expunge the trauma of his childhood to deal with his interpersonal relationships today, okay, I'm pretty interested in every Pat Conroy book ever. So give me the things that readers care about. And if you don't know what readers care about, look at yourself. What makes you buy a book in the store? By the way, almost all of these tips that I'm giving you for pitching your book to a publisher or an agent also works for pitching your book to a human being who's going to give you $20 for it at a convention. Cut it down as tight as you can and save yourself the energy of explaining the entire plot of your series to someone when really they just thought the cover was pretty. Oh, what's this about? Dick jokes and explosions. That's funny. Yeah, it's a horror comedy about a giant redneck hunting monsters and blowing shit up. Hey, that's pretty cool. Is this book 1? Yeah, but you should really buy book 2 along with it, because I wrote a cliffhanger into the end of book 1 because I'm kind of a dick. And the naked Sasquatch dick fight scene is in book 2. So you really want to buy them together. And that's how I pitch Bubba the Monster Hunter at conventions. And it's succinct. It doesn't give away much of the plot, except that Bubba's going to be in a Sasquatch dick fight scene. That's another video on the channel. If you just search for that Bubba the Monster Hunter scene, you'll find it. Maybe there'll be a link in the description. But when you're pitching, you don't really have the whole 10 minutes. Stoker did a fantastic job. There were 15-minute blocks, and you got 10 of those 15 minutes, leaving us 5 minutes to grab a drink of water, go pee, eat a snack, breathe, relax. That was fantastic. But that means you signed up for a 15-minute block and you really got 10. And honestly, I've probably decided if I'm interested within 2. It seldom takes longer than that for someone who's listened to any number of pitches to decide whether or not we're interested in the book. So you start strong. You give me your most interesting things about the book. Then tell me about you. I want to know about you as a human being. I want to know about your characters, about how they're going to rip my heart out and stomp on it and make me desperate to read the next thing. I want to know about your journey. What got you to this chair sitting right in front of me? Tell me those things with a little teeny tiny sprinkle of plot and maybe 2 sentences of world building. Because I don't care. When I'm talking about Starlight Contingency, which is a space opera that we published last year, I tell people, yeah, it starts off as a contemporary heist novel, then it transitions in, then the building flies into space and it becomes a space opera, then it becomes a space heist novel. That's a really interesting chunk of plot and structure, and people who are into heist novels usually then buy the book. Also, if you like heist novels, you should buy Starlight Contingency by Kyoko M. It's really fantastic. But that's how you pitch a book. You keep it tight. Tight, tight, tight. Yes, I know you're interesting. Yes, I know you've spent years working on this book. Yes, I know that everything that you have to say about it is crucially important to the universe as a whole. And I still only halfway give a shit about the plot. So unless you're doing something really interesting with your world, save it. If it's a post-apocalyptic novel, that's all I need. I don't need to know why the apocalypse happened, unless the zombies are in the book. If you're pitching me Rotten Ruin, which you're not, because Jonathan Mayberry's already published Rotten Ruin, and Jonathan does not need to pitch to me. But hey, buddy, if you ever want anything, I'm here for you. But if you're pitching me Rotten Ruin, just tell me it's a zombie apocalypse book. That's all the world building I need. Also, if you haven't read Rotten Ruin, you should. It's fantastic. It flips between that and the Newsflesh trilogy by Mira Grant, as to which one is my favorite zombie book series at any given time. But keep your pitch tight. Keep it to the things that make people buy books. And then tell me interesting things about you. Because despite my demeanor on this channel, where I'm publishing's grumpy uncle, I do care about the writers that we publish. And I don't want to publish writers that I don't care about. So if you think you're someone I won't like, don't pitch to me. You can probably tell the kind of people I like from watching these videos. And if you want to make sure that you watch all the videos to figure out who I would like, you should click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell to get notified. Or hey, if you want to put your name on the wall, you can become a member of the channel. And then, if you've had a great or an awful experience pitching your book, either to an agent or publisher or selling at an event, tell me a story in the comments. Tell me your best or worst pitch experience. And I do read all the comments. I do not reply to all of them. And I sometimes delete the really dumb ones. So maybe don't do that. All right? Till next time, bye.